Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art, and design. Welcome to the Culture Edit, episode 42.
Jackie Robinson.
What does that mean? Is that his number?
Yeah, that was his
okay.
number.
Okay.
Yeah, 42.
Didn't really follow that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was like the number of like, I don't know, some like he accomplished something, but.
No, it was just his number. It's
Okay.
like a famous, it's like 23.
What's 23?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, I'm a big sports person.
Yeah.
It is Monday.
Big Monday. The world is ending probably while we're talking. So we're purposefully coming to you while the eclipse is about to happen.
I thought it was supposed to like start already. 1:45 it was supposed to start, and it's still really bright out. So I'm starting to feel like this is all a hoax.
We're only getting 82 to 84% eclipse
But
in Georgia.
so that might feel like significant cloud cover, but not necessarily darkness.
I think it'll get darker.
Darkish.
Yeah.
Are we going to go up and stare at the blinding light like
No.
everyone else?
No.
Okay.
I was just on the Beltline to go to Bell Street Burritos, and I came back in and told you that it felt like a holiday.
Yeah.
There are so many people out on the Beltline right now.
Eclipse day.
So now a solar eclipse is another reason why people aren't working.
Yeah. I think working on the Beltline really highlights more than anything how few people work.
Yeah, it's because this is where they come.
Yeah.
I mean, Hawkers, I can tell you, Hawkers was packed.
Yeah.
Like packed outside, inside. I don't know if they're having an eclipse party.
Do you think maybe it's like an industry day type thing? Like where, you know, how everyone like works all weekends at the bars and restaurants. Maybe they're having an eclipse party.
Could be. I mean, think about last Thursday was 404 day. And remember, Bame was like, oh, are you coming to the event? It's
The
a
404
Thursday.
block party.
Yeah, we're like, what time? He's like, oh, you know, I think it starts at like 11. Goes from like 11 to 6
No one's working.
on a Thursday. By the way, 404 is the area code for Atlanta. So they're trying to make it like a holiday or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. I always think when people are like, oh, my kids are sick or something like that, they're really just coming down to the Beltline. Like they're just using it as an excuse to just on a nice day to just come down to the Beltline. Because honestly, visiting the Beltline during the week with your children and like playing hooky from work and school actually makes a lot more sense than coming down here on the weekends, because the weekends are so chaotic.
Yeah.
That I think as a family, it actually could be worth doing a little field trip, because you can actually enjoy the Beltline. And you're not trying to, if you're with your kids, like you're not necessarily trying to bar hop, so you don't need to deal with all that.
Yeah.
But you can, bring the bikes, do all that. So
We had to walk the long way home yesterday because there were so many people.
we did. It was so crowded that
Literally couldn't walk home.
we can't walk home on the Beltline. Mainly because the level of drunkenness is scary.
Yeah.
Because like I think if it was just the two of us walking, we would have, but we had Emmy. And so I get nervous that like someone's going to hit her with like a bike or a roller skater or a drunk guy or drunk girl. Like I'm just always worried.
Yeah.
Anyways, chaos on the Beltline. It's only going to get worse as we go into summer. One thing we wanted to talk about today is how great of a weekend it was, though, from like a weather perspective. If you, for whatever reason, didn't actually get outside this weekend.
In Atlanta.
I don't know what you were doing, because it's one of those weekends where we don't get that many of these weekends. And it was so perfect that we spent basically the entire weekend outside. So Saturday you did Tucker, which is like our big group ride here. And then I went to Atlanta Run Club and did a longer run. And then Sunday we had our big Hell in the ATL ride, which is like in honor of Paris Roubaix Day. And so we came back after the ride and watched Paris Roubaix, obviously replay of Paris Roubaix.
Which is the reference to hell.
Yeah, which they called a day in hell because it's a really difficult...
Hell of the North.
Yeah, Hell of the North. Oh, is it Day in Hell or Hell of the North?
A Day in Hell is a famous documentary about Paris Roubaix.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I wasn't completely off. I knew I
from
heard
like the
that.
70s.
Okay.
But the race itself is called the Hell of the North.
Okay. Yeah, and it looked like hell, honestly, watching it. We had nice weather here. They had terrible weather. Not jealous of their weather.
Well, it didn't rain. It had rained before, so they had like
with the mud and everything,
puddles and stuff in the corners.
And the wind. I think.
The wind was insane.
The wind is almost worse. Like I'd rather have it be rainy and not windy than not rainy with like 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, those flags look like they've been starched.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a great ride. We had people come to the office. rolled out, did about, was it 67 miles, I think?
Yeah.
And we had 4 gravel sectors. It was a road.
Five, technically.
5.
Yeah.
It's a road ride, but we picked gravel sectors down south where you could do it on your road bike. It wasn't a big deal. We only had 4 flats.
Yeah.
So it was a good day.
Yeah. It was perfect.
It was the perfect day. There was no wind, and it was sunshine.
Some said it was the best ride we've had in a long time.
I think it was at least the best ride of the year for me. The best physical fitness weekend for me I've had all year.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. So thanks for everyone that came out to that, because
I'm exhausted though.
yeah, we both are really sore and tired this morning. So we're going to take a rest day. But it was definitely worth it. It was fun.
Do you want to talk about who won Paris Roubaix?
Sure. Well, let's talk about what is Paris Roubaix, because for our non-cycling listeners,
It's the hardest one-day race in the world.
But tell it, like, what's the difference between, I know we kind of went over it with Flanders, but the difference between the one-day races and then obviously the Tour.
Again, a one-day race is just a straight format. The first person that crosses the line wins.
Yeah.
Versus a Grand Tour, which is complicated with timing and keeping track of time. So if you just want to like watch cycling and not have to really think a lot about it, the one-day races are the way to go. But this is completely different because they race over cobbles, and it's not like Flanders cobbles that we've ridden on, where they're rough but they're all like touching each other. These are cobbles that have like several inches in between them. There's some kind of French saying that they basically call them babies' heads. So it's like babies' heads are the road. And so it's really, really hard. There's, I forgot how many sectors, maybe 29?
Yeah, I think it was 29.
29 sectors, and they count them down.
And a sector is a cobbled section.
Right, from like 1 kilometer to 6 kilometers. And I actually did the amateur version of it a long time ago and said I'd never do it again because it's just not fun. It's like it's zero enjoyment. It's not fun.
Dawn and Garrett did it, and she said she had a good time.
Oh, okay. Maybe they did a shorter version. It was a long day. It was hard, but it's tough. I mean, it's just like the guys. When I went to watch it, the guys that finished were just like sitting down the side of the road, like crying.
Yeah,
because they'd just like mentally been so stressed about it.
Well, and the cobbles, I mean, obviously these guys are used to riding on cobbles because they do it all year through the race, and a lot of them live in places where they're training on cobbles. But like my thing was when we went to Flanders and did the cobbles the first time, it rattles you so much. Like I remember Alan saying, he's like, can anyone else see? Because my eyeballs are just like jiggling around in my head.
Yeah.
And you start to adjust to it and you get used to it a little bit. But it's like the rattling of your like wrists and your hands and it's just really uncomfortable.
Very. They're going a lot faster, so it actually is not as hard on you if you're going faster because you're kind of flying over them.
Yeah.
So they're going like 28 plus miles an hour because they're just so fast. So it's a little bit smoother than if like we were just doing it going 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But it's so dangerous. I mean, it's just like you see guys that crash. Like, remember the guy, the Kiwi guy that crashed on his head, and then got back up and finished 7th. Like, it's just like it's insane how hard it is. But we talked to Michael, who got 4th as a junior, and Luke a couple of days before, and we're like, you guys wish you were doing it. And the consensus was kind of like, it's just so dangerous. I'm kind of relieved I don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you want to be there because it's such a monument. But then you don't actually want to have to go through the pain to finish the monument.
It's like when I registered for Unbound, but didn't get in.
Yeah, and you were relieved. If you had gotten in, you were like, okay, time to buckle down. But then when you didn't, you're like, oh, don't have to buckle down.
Thank God. Thank God Alan's going by himself.
Exactly. But yeah, that was a really actually I was gonna say it was an exciting race, except it really wasn't because Matthew Vanderpool just like destroyed the field again. So he just rode away and like that was it.
And we haven't talked about this because you probably haven't looked at cycling news today.
I have. I never look at cycling news. So
remember when we watched the replay of Flanders, we could hear people booing him. And we're like, that's really weird. Is it like, are people really booing him? Well, apparently they were like throwing stuff at him. They were throwing cups of urine on him.
What?
Yeah. So there's like a police investigation happening over Flanders. The same thing happened yesterday. So even worse yesterday, people were trying to throw things in his spokes So a woman.
So were they throwing cups of piss because they're insinuating like he's doping?
I think they just don't like him.
Oh, cups of piss is really aggressive.
Yeah, that's really.
That's gross.
Yeah. I remember being a little kid and going to a Florida State game, and a bunch of Florida fans threw piss on us when we were leaving. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You had pee on you.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like 10 years old. Anyway, so Matthew, I know what it's like. But the crazy thing is, they're like, yeah, a fan tried to throw a casquette into his wheels. It was a woman that did it. Like, they have it on video. So
she's probably in jail now, I assume.
Well, they're looking for her. They're going to arrest her, yeah. But it's like crazy. Remember in cyclocross where he like spit on the fans?
Yeah. And everyone was like, why'd he do that?
And it's because he said that they were like throwing stuff on him the whole time.
Why are they doing this? What's wrong with them?
I don't know. I think it's because he's just so good and so dominant, and they're so crazy about cycling. Like, it's probably Belgian fans. I don't know. I'm guessing.
I guess,
Goose
but like it's like what Goose said. He dates a girl, like his girlfriend is from Flanders.
Like he lives in Flanders.
He lives in Flanders, so like that's a weird.
But they love Wout van Aert so much. I don't know. I maybe it's French fans. I haven't.
Has Wout van Aert, like, has he even done anything this year? Because I haven't been paying attention. He's hurt.
Yeah, he crashed in.
Okay, so then you default to the next person that's within your region, and that's.
I think he's just so dominant that they just can't stand. I mean, the same thing used to happen to Lance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They used to throw stuff on. I mean, Lance got urine thrown on him on Alpe d'Huez. I mean, it was like they're just crazy.
Gross.
Yeah.
You need your pee-pee shield.
So anyway, more to come on that. But it was interesting that we're now at a time where there's so many cameras. They're catching these people.
Yeah, well,
like in the Lance days, that no one ever got caught, right? So now there's so many cameras, like cameras everywhere, obviously, that they're catching the people.
Speaking of cycling, so this was really funny. When I was on the group run on Saturday, I ended up getting dropped with like 4 other guys at like mile 6 from like the front group. And we start talking, because before that we couldn't talk. And so when we finally were dropped, we're like, okay, now we can slow down and like talk a little bit. And one of the guys, anyways,
when you say talk, they started mansplaining?
There's always mansplaining. Okay. But, we talk about like, oh, you're a cyclist, blah, blah, whatever. And this guy's like, oh, I'm also a cyclist. I ride on the Silver Comet. And, I'm always like, oh, that's nice. Yeah. Cause I'm not gonna be like negative. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you ride on the Silver Comet.
Yeah.
But anyone so the Silver Comet in Atlanta is like it's just a bike path, but like a really long bike path that goes all the way to Alabama, and it's just flat and straight. And so a lot of like newer cyclists or triathletes or people who don't want to ride on the road will go to the Silver Comet and then just ride their bikes. So
great place to learn.
There's nothing wrong with riding on the Silver Comet. It's very boring. But other than that, there's nothing wrong with that. But kind of when someone says like the only place I ride is the Silver Comet, that they're more. But
let me explain to you about cycling.
Yeah. Yes. So you know immediately when they're like, well, my ride is 20 miles on the Silver Comet. You just know they're a novice, which is totally fine. So I started like, being like, oh, what type of bike do you have? Like whatever. And he was saying like him and his wife ride together. I was like, that's so nice. And then he starts like, I can't even remember how he asked like what type of riding I do. And I said, well, we ride on the road, but we also do gravel races for fun, my husband and I. And he's like, oh, gravel racing. And I'm always like a little surprised when people know what it is because it's kind of random.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that F1 driver, he's a gravel racer. And I was like, oh, Valtteri Bottas. Yeah. Like he does. We've been to multiple races, like in the race with him. Nice guy. But yeah, he's like a huge advocate for gravel racing. And he goes, do you think he is as strong as his girlfriend? And just like out of nowhere. And I was like, Tiffany Cromwell, she's in the world tour. And I was like, my immediate reaction was, no, he's not as strong as his girlfriend. And he's like, oh, I think he is. And I was like, well, he said on multiple podcasts that he's not as strong as her.
Yeah.
It was also just like, I didn't want to get into this weird, like kind of like pissing match of like, because I'm not Tiffany and I'm not Valtteri. So like, why are we talking about who's stronger? It was like a very weird thing, like soapbox to be on. And I finally was just like, look, he's not stronger than Tiffany. Okay. And I was like, I just like had to start breaking it down. Yeah. I was like, if he stopped racing cars and trained constantly and trains all the time, maybe, yes, he could like be like, I think men have the ability to obviously like catch up to women, even world tour women, like fast because you just have testosterone. So if he started training like a full-time pro, like, yeah, he would get strong. But right now, like as a race car driver and part-time cyclist, no, he's not. Like this is her job. And he's like, well, when he retires from race car driving, I think he's going to become like a world tour cyclist because he beats professionals.
All right, you've lost all credibility.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know.
This was a fun run.
No,
nice.
I literally was just like, oh my gosh, this guy, what? So it was interesting.
Maybe he's listening.
Maybe, I doubt it. But yeah,
you're much more diplomatic in those situations than I am.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't want to be.
I would have struggled to listen to that nonsense.
Well, it's not really like my battle to fight because I don't care that much whether he thinks Valtteri's stronger than Tiffany.
But you have so much more insight and credibility to the subject than him, a guy that rides on the Silver Comet every now and then. I mean, you've literally raced with Valtteri.
Yeah.
What if I was there and would have said to the guy, the girl you're talking to is stronger than you?
He wouldn't have. His brain would have like spontaneously combusted.
Be like, we're going to have a ride tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have struggled.
Speed Club Studio. Come on out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What would he have done?
I don't know. Anyways, that's enough on that tangent. It was just kind of funny. I just had a chuckle.
Yeah, I was not expecting you to get mansplained about cycling at a group run. Yeah.
Mansplained about gravel cycling at a group run. It was a new one. Did you wanted to, before we move on to more pop culture stuff, I know you wanted to talk about what's going on in the gyms nowadays.
Well, the word is out. I have returned to the Forum after several years absence. The Forum is a multi-location gym, 3 locations in Metro Atlanta, owned by Roman Fortin and Dan Owens. I'm an original OG member, thanks to Chisel. Had the HGD for many, many years. Don't have it anymore. But
the what?
HGD.
What's that?
Hot Girl Discount.
Chisel's Hot Girl Discount.
Yeah. But I returned because our gym, the Train Collective, I just can't stand it anymore because the trainers are so obnoxious and annoying. So
I'm still there.
I was talking to Caitlin, your friend Caitlin, my friend Caitlin too, who goes to the Forum. And she's like, well, if you go back, you're going to be really surprised by like what's happening with women's attire. Yeah,
gym attire.
And Caitlin basically was like, girls are just not wearing clothes in the gym anymore.
Which is not the case at the Training Collective.
No, not at all. So I started going back to the Forum last week, and it's pretty shocking what gym attire looks like, especially from a guy that started working out in gym in the early 90s, where everyone was wearing giant, baggy, huge T-shirts.
Yeah. So is it more like 80s now where they had like the bikinis kind of like we're working out and like the workout videos?
So you're thinking like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. It's more of, the sports bras are just like bras.
Like triangles?
Yeah.
How does that even hold you in? I don't understand.
I don't know. And then the shorts are like wedged, like pulled up. Like pulled up, and it's just like there's just like not.
So that's why you went back to that gym.
No, it's kind of a
because I'm still going
situation.
to the geriatric gym.
But what was even more strange was that there were multiple people, women and men, walking around with tripods. Their phones attached to a tripod. Yeah. So they're going to a bench.
It's content creators.
And they're setting up their tripod. They're hitting record. They're doing their exercise. They hit stop. They break it all down and they move on to the next. And they're just carrying this tripod that's like 5 feet tall. Yeah. Around the gym with them.
What do men wear to the gym in these situations? Are they shirtless at least to balance out the bras?
There might have been in the grass room.
Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art. I would say that the men wear less clothes than women.
That's not happening at the Forum.
Okay. So I should keep going to Line Chaser and...
Yeah, exactly. It's like the opposite. Yeah, it's more like tank tops and cut off sleeveless shirts and streetwear.
Yeah. Well, so that leads us to it's actually a good segue. I wasn't planning on kind of going in this order, but.
Well, I just want to say, Caitlin, you're right.
Caitlin is right.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So I read an article that has been over like all over like Women's Wear Daily, like whatever. So everyone that follows Women's Wear Daily or Nike or fashion in that athleisure world has probably heard that a woman, sorry, she's the same age as me, so I think of myself as a girl.
Okay.
Okay, so girl.
Okay.
Emily Bode.
It's not Bodie?
Oh, is it Bodie?
I don't know. How long gone was saying Bodie?
Oh, okay. Well, I trust them.
Okay.
Emily Bodie. It's longer. She has it because she's married. I can't think of what her like last name is.
It's complicated.
Emily Bodie. She's from Atlanta. Went to the Galloway School. Grew up here. Then went to Parsons. Then traveled to like Switzerland and studied abroad. But before we even get into that, every time I read about these people who had these like crazy upbringings of like they went to like boarding school here and this fancy summer camp, that wasn't even like in my like purview as a kid.
No, but at least she's done something. Usually those kids don't do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So, $30,000 to go to Galloway School, and now she's working with Nike. And
she's a fashion designer.
She's a fashion designer, and she has like Bodie is her own brand. So she already had this brand that she had created. And then now she's has a collaboration with Nike, and it's a really big deal because it's a lot of people are saying it's in response to what Adidas has done with a lot of their kind of like streetwear.
What is their collaboration? Adidas.
Well, I mean the Samba. So
the Samba they just did.
Well, they've done a bunch of different collaborations with different designers. So there was the Kate collaboration, which was a huge collaboration with Adidas because Kate is like a really high-end minimalist, very chic fashion designer.
I'm thinking of something Wales. Something
with the Samba.
Yeah, I don't know. They were just
I don't
talking
know,
about
but they've literally done like 100 different collaborations with the Samba shoe.
Yeah.
Kate isn't a Samba shoe. It's
and you're a known Samba head.
Well, and that's what really annoys me because I went back and looked at my receipts.
Y'all don't even want to know how many Sambas Nikki's got.
I went back and looked at my receipts. My first pair of Sambas was in 2022.
2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was before the Samba boom.
Oh, okay.
Is my point.
Haven't the Sambas been around since the 70s?
Yeah. But like, I decided I needed a
You got them and they boomed.
I got them.
Okay.
And then they boomed because 2023 was the year of the Samba. I was ahead of my time is my point. Okay. So I got the Sambas. I am not precious with my Sambas. I like my Sambas to look worn. I like them to look like I've used them for other things. That's another thing that bothers me is people that are precious with their tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like cheesy. Like if you get a pair of tennis shoes, wear the tennis shoes. Even if they're expensive tennis shoes, don't be so precious with it. It makes me feel like you shouldn't have those tennis shoes if you have.
But what if it's going to rain?
Well, don't wear them in the rain, obviously, if it's leather. I'm just saying like.
What if you're painting your office?
But people that are so precious with like their tennis shoe that they don't wear them. They wear them like one time because it's like whatever. I don't get it. Anywho, so
there's a lot of people like that.
There's a lot of people like that. I just don't think it's cool. Okay. I think it's cool. It's just like anything. I'm not precious with other than like my jewelry, I would say. Like obviously I take care of my jewelry. I'm not overly precious with clothes and shoes because I think clothes and shoes should be worn.
My precious.
And being precious is cheesy. I just think it is. I don't know. Anyways, so Emily Bodie has created this collaboration. She did this like extensive research project into this collaboration of the history of basically like sports in general and when sports / athletic wear really became like a thing, which was apparently in like the 1700s.
Yeah.
And so she took everything from the 1700s to the 1970s and condensed it to create essentially a line that represents like a textbook of athleisure wear throughout history.
Across different sports.
Across different sports. Yeah. So there's a lot of like retro. It's very.
But this is with Nike. This is a collaboration with Nike.
Yes, I've already said that.
Okay.
It's a very retro kind of. She calls it like Cape Cod. So her parents have a house here, but they also have a house in Cape Cod. So she spent her summers vacationing in Cape Cod. So there's a lot of like she's pulling from that kind of aesthetic, which I would consider like more of a preppy, high-end aesthetic.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the materials are kind of more of that old school athleisure material. I think it's really cool. I mean, it was a drop on the 17th of April, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
The collaboration, and I'm sure it'll be a huge hit. I mean, it's not functional. Like, I don't know if you've looked at some of the stuff in the line. It's not functional. Like the shoes are shoes.
Yeah, the shoes.
But the tops are not tops you would work out in. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily the function of all the tops.
Well, yeah, isn't like athletes are just like wearing around, like walking down the belt line in your athleisure.
Yeah. So, but one thing I was thinking about when I was looking, because I think it looks really cool. I think what I was getting at before with the Samba Adidas, I think it's kind of Nike's answer to like now these new shoes, these new Nikes that she's coming out with, which are like, I don't remember the exact name, but whatever, she has like a new Nike shoe. I think that everyone's gonna switch from the Sambas to Nikes.
It's the turf shoe.
Yeah,
it's
the turf.
The first, when AstroTurf first came out, Nike created a shoe for it.
Yeah,
and that's what these
are.
And
she said they would like hand paint them or something because they was like
dark. The black wasn't black enough.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't
they
black
took
enough.
a Sharpie to them.
Yeah. So the whole shoe is like one of the shoes is like all black. Anyway, so I'm sure they'll be.
They look like waffle trainers, is what they look like.
I think they look cool. I mean, they're simple.
So are you making the switch?
No.
Are you giving up on the Sambas and going to the Nike Bodhi collection?
I don't think so, because all that's going to happen is every influencer is going to get their hands on these shoes, and then for like the next 2 years, people are going to sell them on the GOAT in like ShopX or whatever it's called for $500, and then something else new will come out. So
there's some predictions that this is the end of the Samba craze.
I mean, that's fine, but if I could have my Sambas back for like the reason I got them in the first place, which is I just wanted a functional shoe that kind of matches everything, give me my Sambas back. Go, like, influencers, go do something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I'll be jumping ship, but let's see how it is. I mean, the good thing
they're
about
too weird for me. I couldn't pull it off. They're just too weird.
Well, the good thing about living in Atlanta is that no one follows trends, really.
That's not true. Streetwear trends.
No, streetwear. But I'm saying like from like a girly girl fashion, like blogger girl type thing. There are some here for sure. Pookie has taken the world by storm, but there's not a lot.
There's a girl that does wine tasting at Vinoteca.
That's an influencer?
No, but you said she...
Oh, she is really cool. But she's like in Acne Studios, which gets me into my next point that I'm really excited about.
Oh, wow.
She's like an Acne... No, she's like a cool girl. And I don't know... She can't be from here. She's got to be from somewhere else. I'm going to talk to her at some point.
You want to introduce yourself?
She's really pretty. She's like really beautiful, like black, long hair that she braids and has like a bucket hat. I don't know. She's cool.
Be like, I care about what I look like. You care about what you look like.
We should be friends.
What unusual circumstance in Inman Park.
Well, I mean, there's people definitely... Like, there's girls in Buckhead that care what they, going out of the house and everything. But in Inman Park, we definitely get the roll out of bed hungover for brunch crew that they just like throw on a big t-shirt and like
it's because that's what
they're
they are.
Like Chanel, like they're like little Chanel crossbody over with their golden goose shoes, and then they like hobble on down to brunch. So that's typically what we get.
It's a lot of that. I have a Nike thing I want to come back to.
Okay,
since you mentioned that.
Okay, go do your Nike thing.
Have you seen the controversy that has embroiled Major League Baseball with the new uniforms from Nike?
Well, you told me about it a little bit, but I haven't extensively.
You haven't actually seen them?
No, I haven't. No.
So, and the reason I brought this up is because we have a client that is in this world.
Yeah.
Nike approached Fanatics, I think in 2017. They wanted to win the Major League Baseball uniform line. And so Fanatics bought a company called Majestic in 2017, which had been producing Major League Baseball uniforms for 20 years, something like that. They did not touch them in terms of the fabric design until this year. And Nike's been working behind the scenes to basically elevate Major League Baseball uniforms to actually be performance fabrics. And it has been a huge disaster.
Why?
Think about performance fabric. They're super thin.
Yeah.
Right? So they went from these like thick, like, I don't know if you've ever... Yeah, I mean, you worked at the Braves. Like, so you think of like a jersey as like this, like...
Yeah, it's heavy.
Heavy, like, and it looks cool. It looks like it cost a lot of money because like the Braves, it's not just like sublimated on like a kit
it's stitched on.
It's like stitched on. Yeah. The name's stitched on. So that's all gone.
Yeah.
So now it's like a kit design basically, but
I'm sure that in the room, like the brainstorming sessions, people were like, "This will be so much cooler." Like from a temperature perspective.
Well, that's what they were
much lighter to run in, sweat wicking, like
Yes,
in
that's
line with everything
100%.
else that every other sport is doing.
100%. But it looks terrible. It does look really bad. And it's like you can see the guys sweat now. Like you can never see baseball players like their sweat on their uniform now.
Because it didn't make it through the
Right,
barrier.
exactly. Now it's like they're sweaty and
Yeah.
they changed the stitching. I mean, you know this from design kits. Like it's not just about the fabric, but it's also where the seams are.
Yeah.
So they changed the seams on the back. So they had to make the names, players' names, like really small. So you can't, like, if you look on them side by side, it's really bad. The pants are different manufacturer than the top. So like they're two different colors.
Oh, that's
like
bad.
if it's like
That's
supposed to be a
bad.
gray uniform,
Yeah.
it's like two different colors.
Yeah.
So the reason I thought about that is because our client Tegra
Mm-hmm.
produces the uniforms for
The
Nike for the NFL.
Yeah.
And we got to go to
And they do the NBA as well.
yes, and we got to go to that plant in Portland and then also in Central America, and to see the amount of brain power it takes to produce. And it's like also not only the brain power, but the amount of planning.
Yeah.
They're making uniforms 18 months in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no like flipping the switch and them going back to the old
No,
uniform.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is like it's here.
doors are closed a year in advance on like the design, on how it's like the materials, because they also have to, like, I think what people don't realize is with professional uniforms, the material, like NFL, the material is so expensive because of like
Exactly.
the special technical material that they try to have almost zero waste, because waste is obviously just throwing cash down the tubes. So they also have to like methodically plan out think about how many different sizes are required, how
Yep.
many different like cuts are required, and they're trying to minimize waste as much as possible. And that type of engineering, like that just takes a long time to kind of go through.
That to that point too, that was interesting because the old uniforms for Major League Baseball made by Majestic were made to measure for each player, which took a lot of time.
Yeah.
Nike went to 4 sizes.
Oh.
So now you've got guys that like
wouldn't work
always
for
had
you.
no, that always had like their uniform like exactly how they wanted it to
Yeah.
now like here's a large.
Well, and like a lot of these guys are so rich that they're probably just like, what the heck? Like, I want things exactly the way that I want them.
Yeah.
And them not being able to do that is probably very frustrating.
Yeah, and the players are the ones that are being really vocal about it. Like
Yeah.
they don't even care that it's supposed to be performance oriented. They want their old uniforms back.
Huh. Well, I'm sure something will shift in the next couple of years then, but that's got to be. I feel bad for the group of people that
Yep.
made this decision, because
know.
again, like we've been there.
We know those people.
When you're in those rooms and
Yeah.
you're trying to do what you think is right, but unfortunately, I don't know, we obviously don't know this for sure, but maybe there wasn't an extensive focus group done.
Yep, that's what I was
because
thinking, too.
I was thinking like decisions were being made in a boardroom. Decisions were being made in a meeting, in a conference room, on Zoom, on whatever. And they were being made with merchandising groups and
Yep.
operation groups of the teams.
And they're going, we know for a fact this fabric is
better.
85% better at transporting sweat away from the skin
Yeah.
than this old polyester fabric. So it's like a no-brainer to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they had gone and actually did focus groups with the players, I think the players would have been like, no.
Or made some
Yeah.
and like put them on, go run around.
Yeah, they would
Tell
have
us what
easily.
you think
I mean,
about
think
this.
about how much money they could have saved if they had just made some like test kits up front and gave them to the players and said, hey, for the next few games, test this out. Or even practice. You don't have to do it in a game, but like take this to practice. Tell us what you think about it.
That's why our friends at Corey, we know we annoy you so much with our test prints, but that's why we do so many test prints for every kit that we design.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good lesson in business in general that even ties back to our business, which is a lot of times when we get a new client or even existing clients, you know, we'll say we have to go speak with your front lines, and not even just the front lines, but there's always a hesitation to
New clients are like,
spend time on that because it does take time. Like
Yeah.
to go out to different areas of the field. It takes time, and no one likes to spend their days scheduling.
Nope.
Is really what it comes down to.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. But the reason we are so passionate about that is for things like this. The last thing you want to do is spend tons of money and tons of time and tons of research or resources
Hundreds
to
of
create
hours.
hundreds
Yeah.
of hours to create something that just isn't going to resonate or
Yep.
doesn't make sense.
And it's getting so much terrible publicity.
Exactly. So if there's anything you take away from that story, I think it's that research is so important. And I'm really surprised. Nike has such like a strong R&D group. It's such a miss. It's strange.
Yeah.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, probably. But from like the Sambas thing, it was funny because I was reading this article about how bloke core is like the next big thing.
Bloke.
So like there's ballet core, which is everything is like centered around ballet-esque, like ballet shoes and whatever.
It's gore core.
Core.
Gore core.
Gore core. There's
Gore-Tex.
Yeah, Gore-Tex. There's all kinds of like fill in the blank.
Bloke.
Core.
So Australian core?
Well, it's like soccer core. So because
what a nice bloke, mate.
Because of like the World Cup, I guess.
Yeah.
People, like all these influencers have been going online and sourcing all of these old retro soccer jerseys and then have their Sambas, because Sambas are soccer shoes, and they're calling it bloke cores. Like,
why bloke? Bloke is Australian.
I don't know. It's just what they didn't explain.
He's
in the
a good
article.
bloke.
I think it's like dude core. Like a bloke is like a dude.
Oh.
I don't know why. The article didn't address why they were calling it bloke core. I assume it was just like women dressing like guys, like not dressing like guys, but taking menswear and making it cute.
Yeah.
So like the baggy jean, the Samba, the vintage jerseys, whatever. I just thought it was interesting because on one side of the thing, it's like, oh, Sambas are going away in this article because of Nike. And then this other article is like, no, Sambas are like going to be the big thing because of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And those are soccer shoes.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just thought it was interesting. And then
What does that have to do with acne?
It doesn't.
Oh.
I was thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
But then I also was reading this article about how because of the pandemic and because of TikTok, really, niche perfumes have become it's like taken off. So like,
oh boy, we're back on perfumes.
Yeah. But what again frustrates me is I was already into these niche perfumes before everyone else decided to get into niche perfumes. So if everyone can just stop copying me, that'd be great. I know y'all listen to the podcast and you decide to change your life because of it, but it's funny though because they had like this giant, basically like the world of perfume, like the World's Fair for perfume brands. And they were all saying,
where is that?
In Paris.
Oh,
yeah.
When is it?
I don't know. I didn't write it down.
I'm surprised you don't want to go.
I don't think I can just like show up.
Oh,
it's like the bike industry stuff where you have to be like in the bike industry,
right? In
the perfume industry.
Okay.
So it's a place where they're like sharing new perfumes.
But you're a perfume reviewer.
True.
And perfume media personality.
Icon.
There you go. So I think you might be able to get in.
Maybe
we get some media credentials.
But that's not the point. The point is that I'm very frustrated now that everyone is going into. So now I'm having to really push my limits even further to find weird perfumes and brands. Because what's frustrating?
So what you think people are smelling you and being like, I've smelled this girl before?
No.
Oh.
Well, no. It's just like, so if I like a specific perfume, a brand, but now it's not niche anymore and everyone's buying it, that's really annoying.
But how are they going to know?
Well, I will know. I'll know if I start, because I can smell people like Byredo's Mojave Ghost. That 3, 4, 5 years ago, that was like my perfume.
I don't even know what those words were.
Okay, it's a type of perfume, Mojave Ghost. Now it is like the most popular perfume in the world. Everywhere I walk, I smell either Baccarat Rouge or Mojave Ghost. And so I don't wear those anymore because...
I don't think anyone else is smelling this stuff.
But it's about...
I think people smell it for like 90 seconds when they spray it on and then that's it.
Okay, well, I can smell how everyone smells the same.
Okay.
And like Le Labo, like their Santal 31.
Do
like
not
every
come around
girl
Nikki if you
in the
haven't had a
West
shower.
Village wears Santal 31. You go to West Village, you go into a Joe and the Juice, you're hit in the face with Santal. Like that's just
Santal.
kinda, yeah.
Okay.
And so now I'm really having to dig a little bit deeper to figure out like where are people going with this, and then where can I go different?
I just can't believe we're walking around together and this is the world you're living in.
I'm living in a hyper-sensory world.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I didn't choose this life, but I am. And so my point in saying that is that then led me. So I'm trying like perfumes constantly, but the problem with that is what happens is now like celebrities have always had like perfume brands. Like Kim Kardashian starts a perfume brand, or Miley Cyrus has a perfume brand. Like everyone has their perfume brands. But now I feel like because it's really easy to make custom perfumes, and like China is really getting in on it too. Anyone's going to be able to have their own custom perfume brand, and it'll be very easy. So the market's going to get flooded with just like really terrible like boutique quote unquote boutique perfumes, and it's just going to be chaos. And so I think
What if you had your own boutique perfume brand?
I don't know enough about the science behind, like, I think you need to go to school for that stuff. You can't just like create like a perfume.
Yeah, you can't just watch some YouTube.
Yeah, like you shouldn't. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't, is my point.
Okay.
Like, 'cause it's an art. Like, there are people who've dedicated their entire lives, like generations of like perfumers that have passed down their knowledge to their children and to their cousins or whoever, or their you know, what is it called? Apprentice.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be the world of perfumes. Is like you were
Stagiaire.
you were an apprentice, and then you learn the ways, and then but now it's just like anyone can reach out to China and make their own perfume. I don't know. It just loses it loses what's special about perfume.
But what I'm saying is, what if you reached out to China to create your own?
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I want to go to Paris and go to school, to the perfume school, and become an apprentice and learn about it. But I don't have time for that.
Okay.
I need like 10 different lives to live the life that I want to live, but I don't. So
Right.
going to have to be in a different life. But one thing that's interesting, and I'm really on the fence about whether or not like I'm going to get this or not, is Frederic Malle, who is a really famous perfumer from France, from Paris. Probably one of the most famous. He reached out to the head of design, or maybe it's the CEO of Acne Studios, and said, I'm a huge fan. And Acne Studios
So we're finally landing this plane.
We're finally landing the plane.
Okay.
He reached out, wrote a handwritten letter, not even an email. Now, I mean, he's pretty old, so he wrote a handwritten letter, mailed it to Stockholm, which is where Acne Studios is based out of.
Yep.
And said, I am such a fan of Acne Studios because of all of the creative, just kind of like different stuff that they do with their clothing line. I really would love to collaborate on a perfume. So now you're taking two of my favorite brands and you're smashing them together.
Wow, it's exciting.
Yes. And but the thing is I don't know if I want to be excited about it, because then if I order the perfume and then like everyone else orders the perfume, I'm going to be really annoyed.
I think you just have to accept that you're just going to smell like other Acme Studio fans.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe they make a like really limited run. And so like I have to be on the computer at like the exact time to order it. And maybe it'll be like, you know, just a few hundred bottles or something that are made. So it's just, and then once it's done, it's gone. They didn't really say.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
But it's funny because the design, I'm just gonna call him the design director because I can't remember his actual title. He describes the process of like when he went to Paris to meet with Frederic Malle, and they sat there and they discussed it. And when he went back to Stockholm, he sent him a package of like all the things, smells, flowers, food, like all the stuff that inspired him. And it, more or less without saying it in the article, it was kind of like Frederic Malle shut him down and was like, you literally know nothing. Like, I'm not going to design clothes. You're not designing this perfume. We are going to collaborate, but I'm not putting like the smell of cake in my...
When I said collaboration, I meant you just putting your label on this.
Exactly.
Not really actually inputting into anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of funny because that's very like, you know, French.
We get a lot of those kind of collaboration requests.
For sure. But the bottle is really pretty. They definitely did a good job. It's nice. So I'm on the fence of whether or not I'm going to buy it, but I probably will. In hopes that it's like limited edition, and then if it doesn't smell good, I will be able to sell it so quickly.
Sell it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that was an exciting update.
Yeah,
I perfume thought so world.
Too.
It's been a couple of months. It's been a few months since our last perfume update. So
yeah. Just thought that was an interesting one. I mean, I have a lot of other things on here, but I figure you want to give some updates on your side. A lot of mine is like style, clothing, fashion related, because going into new seasons, I just feel like going into new seasons with extreme weather changes, you refresh your wardrobe, new trends, new styles emerge, and then it's kind of like a thing, you know?
Coachella starts this weekend. Does anyone care?
I don't think anyone that listens to our podcast cares.
Yeah.
But we have
Does anyone care?
I don't know, because I don't
Do people still go?
Really, yeah, people go, yeah. Oh. I think we've aged out of the Coachella age.
Yeah.
I guess you were kind of always out of the Coachella age.
Thanks.
But by proxy.
2015?
Yeah, 2015 we went.
Yeah.
Not all it's cracked up to be.
I mean, I don't even think the lineups no one cares about. So
I think it's maybe ran its course a little bit, but
yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've seen influencers posting about how they're so excited to go on their influencer trips.
What people need to understand about Coachella is it's actually not fun because it's in the middle of the desert. And what you're not seeing is that 90% of the time people are wearing some type of bandana or mask over their face because the wind is blowing and there's sand and dust everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not enjoyable.
It depends what your idea of enjoyable is, because I also don't understand Burning Man.
Yeah.
I never will.
Yeah, me either.
I just never will, because it's not my thing to like be in like a dirt-filled orifice of the world.
Yeah.
With half-naked people. To me, I don't get it. Coachella, kind of similar.
Some could say the same thing about gravel events.
Definitely, yeah. Or just
Dirt-filled
working out
orifice
in
with-
general. There's
yeah.
a lot of people who have aversion to sweating.
Yeah.
So they look at me and they're like, "Why does she like to sweat so much?" Yeah, Coachella. I mean, there was fun aspects of it, like the experience of going, like showing up and seeing how big of a production it is pretty cool. In the VIP area was pretty cool because you saw famous people. But outside of that, I mean, it was fun. It wasn't a bad experience.
Check the box.
Yeah, it was a check the box.
It's long
experience.
gone.
Unless you're a celebrity and you have a helicopter to drop you in and pick you back up, it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of effort and a lot of time standing around
Yeah.
for lines and stuff. But yeah.
We don't like lines.
One thing I saw this week is, oh wait,
I got something I
I
want
didn't
to talk
even
about.
make my point about the athleisure. I went too far.
You went down the wrong rabbit hole. What was your point about athleisure, Nikki? Bring us back to athleisure. This is
Well,
funny.
it's not
The
a
look
point.
on her face right now is just utter disappointment.
Well,
And-
it's not a
and
point. It's this. I'm wondering if other people have noticed this. Have you noticed how athleisure has gone in two very extreme directions in the past couple years? It's either streetwear, which is like baggy, like hip hop focused, hip hop centric streetwear, or it's gone the opposite, which is like preppy tennis wear, like really preppy kind of, I'm on a yacht club. I, am drinking martinis after the tennis match. Or
I think there's a third,
what's the third?
like super technical
Like
outdoor.
outdoorsy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I guess like
Aether.
Solomon goes in that.
Solomon,
Yeah.
Aether, like
Yeah.
all those are in that kind of world.
But I think from like I think that, yeah, there's and maybe that's based on like where you live, because I think if you were to go like out west where people are actually
Arcteryx.
getting outdoors more,
Yeah.
you'd find more of that. But I think in the city though, like I see either extreme like hip hop streetwear or extreme tennis club wear. And there's
I
kind of
don't see the tennis club stuff,
well, what's that, Sporty and Rich? That is
Yeah.
like taken off.
but we don't see it in this city.
Not in Atlanta, maybe. Well, if
Yeah.
you go to Buckhead, you do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you see it in Buckhead. You just don't see it down here because people aren't cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say there's more of the technical.
Down here?
Yeah.
See, I see a lot of like, and the funny thing is, I really like both. I love the like baggy streetwear stuff that Nike has right now and other brands, but I also really like, I definitely don't fall in the preppy thing, but I do like the kind of retro tennis club vibe that Sporty and Rich has.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was just
That was the last point.
That was just I was curious if you had observed that it's kind of gone in these two design directions and there's not a whole lot in between.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have said the third component. I wouldn't have gone with the preppy. I mean, I see the preppy
Well,
thing.
like, think about
like,
Tracksmith. That's like that preppy
Yeah.
New England kind of. I mean, they've been around for a while, but
Yeah. Yeah. I see it with our friends in New York, I guess I would say. Remember how I'm always talking about like our friends in New York that I call it like 90s dad fashion.
Yeah.
It's like saying that's the same thing. It's like
yeah.
J. Crew and all those folks. But all of this has been great. I think the most important topic we can talk about is we watched Roadhouse.
The new Roadhouse.
The new Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get you to watch some of the old Roadhouse, but you went to sleep.
I mean, it was good.
You've watched the old Roadhouse, you just don't remember it. 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
I
a
don't
long
remember
time
it at
ago.
all.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze. So the new one, Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal?
I don't know.
Gyllenhaal? Gigolo?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked it. It was definitely like it kept me engaged because it's just a lot of action.
You loved it.
But I can't get past. I struggle with Jake because Taylor Swift has forever ruined him in my mind.
That's what you were thinking about?
Yes, she's
Taylor
painted-
Swift
she's painted
during
him-
Roadhouse?
Yes, she has painted him in such like a light of being this like terrible brat, like because he's like, you know, a rich kid that came from like fame and he grew up with it his whole life. She has gone on interviews, like she's talked at like how big of a brat and like how terrible of a person he is and how he's just like this like little baby man that's like self-absorbed and like whatever. And so I struggle with his character being so tough.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
I struggle with the amount of drugs he must have taken to get as fit and jacked as he was.
Yeah, he's shredded.
Because we were talking about, think about him in like his David Fincher movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that one? Prisoners? The one with Hugh Jackman, where the Hugh Jackman's kids get taken. Remember, he's the cop.
I don't remember.
He's like so skinny and like caved in almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just kept thinking like, okay, I mainly was thinking about Taylor Swift this whole time. Does she watch that and she's like, wait, he didn't look like that when I was dating him?
Probably. See, yeah, he was huge.
Yeah.
It's a different, like you can't go into that movie thinking it's going to be Oscar winner. It's very much just built for entertainment, which is what I think the original Roadhouse was.
Yeah.
But they took the original Roadhouse idea, and I guess they did all right with it. I mean, it's in the Keys and stuff, Texas.
Yeah, they made it. The setting in the Keys was kind of weird, but
yeah, that was weird. But it was like you have to. You
just turn your brain off and turn your entertainment brain on.
Completely give up on reality.
You gotta stop thinking about Taylor Swift.
There's no reality. Yeah. Quit thinking about Taylor Swift. Don't think about people being able to fight like this. But it's what was really different, which after I turned on the original automatically came on because that's what Netflix does. The character of, what was it, Brody?
No. Daryl?
Whatever his character's name is.
What was Daryl?
They use the same character name.
Darren.
And they took actual scenes and lines from the original and put them in the new one, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But his personality was completely different. Patrick Swayze version of Roadhouse, he's a very serious character.
And he's like more put together.
Very put together.
Clean cut.
He runs the Roadhouse. He runs it and he's very serious, whereas the Jake version was like, he's like the funny guy.
Yeah.
He's like funny and like not taking it serious at all. Had a like funny one-liner after everything and like
kind of dry humor a little bit.
Very dry. So it was like completely different take on the character, but it was good.
Yeah, no, it was really entertaining. I'd recommend it. Entertaining.
100%.
That's
other than what about not Ewan McGregor?
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor is the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he didn't even have to act for the movie.
I don't think he was acting.
I think he was just being himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was quite the character.
Yeah. He was fine in that. I just hope we never see him in another movie. I hope that was like a one and done.
Yeah, he just is like, kind of ick. Like he was just kind of like,
I've seen them doing press tour together, Jake Gyllenhaal and him, and it's like you can tell they're not simpatico.
Duh, Jake Gyllenhaal's like, I grew up like this rich kid, and wherever I grew up, probably I guess LA, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And Conor McGregor grew up in Ireland, and he probably wasn't rich at all.
No, he wasn't at all.
How could you be simpatico?
Yeah.
You have literally nothing in common.
Yeah. So it's good.
That's all I had on my list today. I mean, I actually have more stuff, but I feel like we've been going for a long time, so I can save some of it for next week.
Okay, so we got some travel coming up. We're going on some tour dates. We're going to be
tour dates.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing. We're going to announcing some tour dates. We're going to San Diego for some interviews. Then we'll be in the
I think the eclipse is going to happen. Everyone's like walking outside.
Oh wow, it is. Yeah. It's turning yellow outside. And then we'll be in the Santa Barbara wine country doing some interviews.
San Luis Obispo, visiting some wineries.
Paso Robles, and then headed up to Monterey for the Sea Otter Classic, where we'll also be doing some interviews. So you're going to have a pretty hefty cycling guest if people don't cancel. I'm always very hesitant to say that. But apologize for our business listener folks. We are going to have quite a few cycling folks that will be very exciting for you and even more exciting for our cycling listeners in the next few episodes.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have for you today. We're going to go outside and stare into the sun.
No, we're not doing that. But yeah, thanks for listening on this.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share because it always helps us out. And if you have any recommendations for run clubs in San Diego, let me know. I'm struggling to find anyone to run with there.
Yeah, that's really been really weird for you.
Yeah, it's strange. And then also, if you're going to be a Sea Otter and you're listening,
yeah.
let us know too, because we'll be at the expo. We're going to do one of the Grand Fondos.
Yep. See you then.
All right. Bye.
Keep your eyes on the road, keep your hands upon the wheel. Keep your eyes